धर शिवासुदि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे।
68.
Yes, so we're doing text 68 today. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo
No.
Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo
Om
Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
तथा एनम दंड पाणे
Tatayenam
एनं
Dandapane.
दण्डपाणे
सकाशम कृत किल्बिषम
Sakasham
सकाशं
Isam.
कृतकिल्बिषं
नेष्यामो कृत निर्वेशम
निशामो कृतनिर्वेशं
यत्र दंडेन शुध्यति।
यत्र
Yatra
दण्डेन शुध्यति।
Meritorious.
Yes, please.
Thank you very much. This man, Ajamil, did not undergo atonement. Therefore, because of his sinful life, we must take him into the presence of Yamaraj for punishment. There, according to the extent of his sinful acts, he will be punished and thus purified. Purport: the Vishnudutas had forbidden the Yamadutas to take Ajamil to Yamaraj, and therefore the Yamadutas explained that taking such a man to Yamaraj was appropriate. Since Ajamil had not undergone atonement for his sinful acts, he was to be taken to Yamaraj to be purified. When a man commits murder, he becomes sinful, and therefore he also must be killed. Otherwise, after death, he must suffer many sinful reactions. Similarly, punishment by Yamaraj is a process of purification for the most abominable sinful persons. Therefore, the Yamadutas requested the Vishnudutas not to obstruct their taking Ajamil to Yamaraj. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the sixth canto, first chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The History of the Life of Ajamil. Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. As we have seen in the fifth canto, if one is given that punishment in the hellish planets, then he doesn't have to suffer in the next birth. Next birth would be a low birth, but at least there won't be this suffering. There will be other sufferings, but not this kind. So, therefore, the Yamadutas wanted to take Ajamil because Ajamil had not purified himself. So, actually, you see, a sinful life means one should perform some atonement. But of course, the taste for the sinful activities will never go away. Therefore, one is punished and one is given low births so that one can, become a bit purified from the sinful desires, and then later on indulge in them in a controlled manner. So, punishment by Yamraj is something which is like a deserving thing. A person has committed sin, so he must be punished. Actually, like one Srila Prabhupada said, in the Kali Yuga, these hellish planets are like completely full. These souls are practically all the souls belong to this category only. There's hardly any pure soul in this age of Kali. So now that's also another danger, actually, when seeing so many sinful people around us, sometimes we develop this kind of a consciousness that that it's all right, because everyone is doing. But this is not completely right. This is very dangerous. So one should be very, very careful. One should understand that while the whole world is doing such things, we should not. At least the one with knowledge should not indulge in activities which are sinful in nature. So one may think, okay, everyone is doing it. What's the harm? Sometimes we see devotees also, especially when it comes to matters of eating, matters of illicit sex. Devotees are very casual. It's all right. How does it matter? Everyone is doing it. No, it's very dangerous. The whole world will go to hell. And we can see even in this life that, even now, even India, it has become so disturbed. Earlier, Indians were poor but peaceful. But now Indians are always in anxiety. So many things are going on. I have worked in, say, multinational companies, and I can assure you that when I was in Star TV, actually, that's like, you can say, as multinational as it gets in India. That company was full of people who are indulging in illicit sex, meat eating, intoxication, all kinds of. They all had stock market portfolios and everything. And practically every single one of them was having some psychologist or psychotherapist. So we can see that these illicit activities, even in this life, bring us so much anxiety and pain. Hare Krishna. Yes, any questions or comments?
Prabhuji, these days no one is following Varnashram Dharma. So then there is absolutely no question of performing atonement. That means everyone is going to with Yamraji.
Very easily.
Hmm.
And why not? Yamaraj is also like he's Shaktiavesh. He's also empowered by Krishna. So Krishna can provide him more facility, more land to accommodate more sinful souls.
No
These
positive.
planets are anyway subtle. So it doesn't matter how many people go there.
Mhm. And also, in the previous few verses, we said Yamraji is in constant communion with Krishna. So when all of a sudden Ajamil start to chant,
Hmm.
though Yamraji has been given all the information, he has all the information of what he did, what he's going to do, and what not. But all of a sudden, when he started to chant, Krishna would have given that information to Yamraji too, no?
Yeah, but this is like a pastime.
True. It's a yeah.
That's why they're surprised. Vishnu
True.
Dutas are surprised to see Yamdutas, and Yamdutas are surprised to see them.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to see this explanation here.
ठीक है जी. Thank you, Roji. Hare Krishna.
Hmm. Yeah, so would someone like to read the next chapter? Chapter 2, Ajamil delivered by Vishnu Dutas.
I
Someone
can
can read the
read.
introductory preface here. Yeah.
I can read it, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ji. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada Ji ki jai. In this Ajamil delivered by the Vishnu Dutas. In this chapter, the messengers from Vaikuntha explained to the Yamdutas the glories of chanting the holy name of the Lord. The Vishnu Dutas said, now impious acts are being performed even in an assembly of devotees, for a person who is not punishable is going to be punished in the assembly of Yamraj. The mass of people are helpless and must depend upon the government for their safety and security. But if the government takes charge of this to harm the citizens, where will they go? We see perfectly that Ajamil should not be punished, although you are attempting to take him to Yamraj for punishment. It was due to Ajamil's glorifying the holy name of the Supreme Lord that he was not punishable. The Vishnuduta explained this as follows. Simply by once chanting the holy name of Narayan, this Brahman has become free from the reactions of the sinful life. Indeed, he has been freed not only from the sins of this life, but from the sins of many, many thousands of other lives. He has already undergone true atonement for all his sinful actions. If one atones according to the directions of Shastras, one does not actually become free from sinful reactions. But if one chants the holy name of the Lord, even a glimpse of such chanting can immediately free one from all sins. Chanting the glories of the Lord's holy name awakens all good fortune. Therefore, there is no doubt that Ajamil, being completely free from all sinful reactions, should not be punished by Yamraj. As they were saying this, the Vishnudutas released Ajamil from the ropes of the Yamdutas and left for their own abode. The Brahman Ajamil, however, offered his respectful obeisances to the Vishnudutas. He could understand how fortunate he was to have chanted the holy name of Narayan at the end of his life. Indeed, he could realize the full significance of this good fortune. Having thoroughly understood the discussion between the Yamdutas and the Vishnudutas, he became a pure devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He lamented very much for how very sinful he had been, and he commended himself again and again. Finally, because of his association with the Vishnudutas, Ajamil, his original consciousness aroused, gave up everything and went to Hardwar, where he engaged in the devotional service without deviation, always thinking of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thus the Vishnudutas went there, seated him on the golden throne, and took him away to the Vaikuntha Lok. In summary, although the sinful Ajamil meant to call his son the holy name of Lord Narayan, even though chanted in the preliminary stage, Namabhas was able to give him liberation. Therefore, one who chants the holy name of the Lord with faith and devotion is certainly exalted. He is protected even in in his material conditional life. Thank you, Ji. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Hmm. So let's start with text 1. Shri Badarayani Uvacha.
Badrayणीर् vacha
Evam te Bhagavat Duta
Evam te
evam te bhagavaduta
Yamaduta Vibhashitam
Yamaduta
Yamaduta
Vibhashitam
abhibhashitam
Upadharyath Tan Rajan
Upadharyachitam
tan
Rajan
rajan
Pratyahurnaya Kovida.
Pratyahur
Pratyahar
Nirkovida.
or nirpovida.
Shukdev Goswami said, "My dear king, the servants of the Lord Vishnu are always very expert in logic and arguments." After hearing the statements of the Yamadutas, they replied as follows. Shri Vishnu Duta Uchu
Shri Vishnu Duta Uchu
Aho Kashtam Dharma Drisham
Aho
Aho
Kashtam
Kashtam
Dharma
Dharma Drisham
Adharma Sprashyate Sabham
Adharma
Dharma
Sprishte
Prashyate
Sabham
Sabham
Yatra Dandeshva Apapeshu
Yatra Dandeshva
Dandesh
Papeshu
Pepashi
Dando Yair Dhriyate Vratha.
Dando Yayate Vrata.
Yeah,
Mary too.
yes, please.
Hare Krishna. Translation purport by Sri Prabhupada. Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. The Vishnudutta said, alas, how painful it is that a religious is being introduced into an assembly where religion should be maintained. Indeed, those in charge of maintaining religious principles are needlessly punishing a sinless, unpunished purport. The Vishnudutta accused the Yamdutas of violating religious principles by attempting to drag a Brahmin to Yamaraj for punishment. Yamaraj is the officer appointed by Supreme Personality Godhead to judge religious and religious principles and to punish people who are irreligious. However, if completely sinless people are punished, the entire assembly of Yamaraj is contaminated. The principle applies not only in the assembly of Yamaraj, but throughout human society also. In human society, properly maintaining religious principles is the duty of the king's court or the government. Unfortunately, Kali Yuga, the religious principles are tempered with, and the government cannot properly judge who is to be punished and who is not. It is said that in Kali Yuga, if one cannot spend money in court, one cannot get justice. Indeed, the court of justice is often found that magistrates are bribed for favorable judgment. Sometimes religious men who preach the Krishna consciousness movement for the benefit of the entire populace are arrested and harassed by the police of the court. The Vishnudutas, who are Vaishnavas, lamented for these very regrettable effects. Because of their spiritual compassion for all the fallen souls, Vaishnavas go out to preach according to the standard method of religious principles. But unfortunately, because of the influence of Kali Yuga, Vaishnavas who have dedicated their lives in preaching the glories of the Lord are sometimes harassed and punished by courts on false charges of disturbing the peace. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hmm. So, you see, in Bhagavad Gita 18th chapter, it is written that, not 18th chapter, 14th chapter, it is written that the mode in which one considers religion to be irreligion and irreligion to be religion is to be considered faith in passion. So today the whole society is passionate and ignorant, and unfortunately it's happening within our society also. That nowadays, Srila Prabhupada is seen as obsolete or conservative or too rude. one brahmachari was telling me Prabhupada is too harsh and rude. He's insulting women. So this kind of nonsense is happening because modes of passion, modes of nature are very strong. Even if we are devotees, there is no guarantee that we will be saved from them. That's why Srila Prabhupada is always urging us to take shelter of Krishna. We always talk of mercy, shelter, surrender for this reason. We're not capable of saving ourselves. Because we are chanting, because we are reading, doesn't mean that we can save ourselves. We must take shelter. That's the meaning of surrender. That's the meaning of crying helplessly for the Lord. Because these modes are extremely powerful. The moment we think that we can overcome them, actually, that's a trick of Maya. If we think we are advancing in bhakti, actually, Maya is tricking us. If I think I'm too humble, I'm pure, I'm not affected by material nature, then that is to be understood to be a trick of Maya. If I'm thinking that I'm actually loving Krishna, or I'm very much in, like I'm very much conscious of Krishna, I'm not getting influenced by Maya. Actually, I am actually heavily influenced by Maya. Maya has many tricks to play. And of course, at a lower level, Maya will trick us into anything. And most importantly, Maya will give us this faith that the acharyas are wrong. So if you think someone is criticized, if you see someone criticizing the acharyas, you should understand that man is mad actually. If one thinks he's more merciful than acharya, or more intelligent, or more knowledgeable, then he's a fool number one. Actually, he's a, like, he's actually an ideal candidate for mercy, because he's completely been abandoned by Krishna. Such a person is actually thoroughly in Maya. So we should not hear such persons. We should give them mercy, but we should not listen to them. Even they may claim to be some sannyasi or brahmachari. If they are criticizing the acharya, then they are fools. Fool number one. So one has to be extremely careful. So here Vishnu Dutas are saying the same thing. Aho kashtam dharmadrisham. Aho kashtam. How painful it is. So it is very painful when people say, oh, actually Prabhupada did not. Like, I've heard so many this nonsense things, from very supposedly respectable devotees. Actually, Prabhupada did not give us proper rasa. Actually, Prabhupada is too harsh. Actually, Prabhupada didn't know how to present it. So this kind of nonsense I've heard from sannyasis even. So you have to be very careful to whom you listen and how you listen. So many people claiming to, especially, those who are reciting too many stories of Ras Leela and other things, you should be very careful. I mean, I just saw a very painful video just yesterday. One very senior sannyasi is asking some Babaji some questions, which are very silly questions, not at all befitting a disciple of Srila Prabhupada. He's asking, how do I see Vrindavan when it seems so mundane? Well, this is something Prabhupada has answered like 100 times in his books, in his comments, in his discussions. Prabhupada has answered so many times. So such a person may claim to be a disciple of Prabhupada, but he's actually a rascal. He's just deluding others. Then what kind of a spiritual master is it who doesn't know how to see Vrindavan? If he sees mundane aspects of Vrindavan, then he's not a spiritual master. And all his disciples will also fall down. I mean, they are already fallen. So you see, we have to be very careful. That's why I said, this pastime of Ajamil is very much applicable to us. One claims to be a spiritual master, and the second time he says he doesn't see Vrindavan. He cannot understand what Vrindavan is. Then what is he even preaching? So one has to be very careful. You should not listen to such sinful people. They are sinful because they are pretending to be pure while they are not. Srila Prabhupada never asked anyone, how do I see Vrindavan? Vrindavan seems so dirty. Prabhupada was very happy. He didn't even have to say. Anyone who saw Prabhupada could understand how thrilled Prabhupada was always to be in Vrindavan. So, so you see, therefore we have to understand. So here we are talking. So when Bhagavad Gita says that faith with which one thinks irreligion to be religion, and religion to be irreligion, is to be understood to be faith in the mode of passion. So a passionate guru and his passionate disciples are not going back to Godhead. So this incident that Prabhupada is mentioning is what happened in the UK, in Australia, as well as in the US. In US, not so much. In US, Hare Krishnas were received somewhat favorably. But in Australia, especially, there was a ban on preaching. There was a ban on Sankirtan. In UK also, devotees were always arrested. Actually, it happens in India also if you go out. So book distribution and all are very difficult in India also for the same reason. So, I mean, that's why we don't see any Sankirtans actually, because government has banned most of the things. We need so many permissions that it's better to just give it up kind of situation. So, so yes, so you see, so how do you keep your faith then? You should refer to the books, Guru, Sadhu, Shastra. But Shastra is the basis for Guru and Sadhu also. So if Guru or Sadhu are contradicting the Shastra, you better research why they are doing so. And if there is no plausible reason, then you should reject both Guru and Sadhu. Because Shastra is the standpoint, it's the locus standi. Hare Krishna. Yes, any questions or comments here?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I have two questions
Yes,
from
please.
the main introduction.
Hmm.
One from this verse where Vishnu Dutas are saying how painful it is to see a religion being introduced into the assembly where religion should be maintained. So, एक तरह से यमदूतास को accuse किया जा रहा है, right? Yamdutas are the one who are just following the order of their master. And this happened all of a sudden. This is a divine mercy of Krishna that he's been taken, that Ajamil has been taken by Vishnu Dutas. So why are they being accused here? ऐसे they are just following their duty, no?
Uh, See, this is the point now they're going to say. Actually, this is where we introduce this principle that chanting at the last moment,
Hmm.
So now they're saying that, you are not very learned. He has called out Narayan. So he has chanted offenselessly, he is pure.
Hmm.
So this is the principle. This is the dharma principle which Yamadutas don't understand.
Hmm. ठीक है जी. एक और
Okay.
question है.
हाँ.
When we are saying because of his association with Vishnu Dutas, Ajamil aroused his original consciousness and now वो हरिद्वार चले गए और devotional service करने लग गए. So we can see this is a Vishnu Dutas ki pure association. Say it helped accelerated the spiritual life for Ajamil. Though he was so sinful, he engaged himself into devotional service. What if we look at Ajamil's? He's dead. Ajamil for the material people is dead. So for him to cut the ties at that very moment with the association of Vishnu Duta seems very logical. Then and now he says, he's constantly now it says he's constantly thinking about Krishna. So then what does it look like for ourselves? For us, we say the cutting ties of family or society is so hard. Then what does it look like for us? Would we ever be would we ever be constantly thinking about Krishna?
No. See, there is no time limit on when you become detached. There is no such thing as time limit. I'll tell you honestly. Like, look at it this way. See, look at your own father, for example. How old is he? Maybe 50, 60, 70.
Ji.
Is he ready to leave the family? Is he okay? Like, okay, now it's done.
No.
Now I'm 60 years old. It's okay. I had enough of family. Now I'm leaving. Can he say
No.
that?
No.
I mean, you are old enough. You're not a child anymore.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't say, "Oh, now you're a woman. It's okay. You can do whatever you want. Stop
No, he
bothering me.
doesn't.
You are independent. Don't worry. I don't love you anymore." He doesn't say that, does he?
No.
You see, that's the point. If one does not voluntarily take Vanprastha or sannyas, this attachment will never go away. Srila Prabhupada writes in Bhagavad Gita that normally at the end of one's grahastha life, when one has to take sannyas, it is a difficult time. And Prabhupada is talking from the perspective of Varnashram people who have lived according to dharma. Why is a person materialistic or why is a person sinful? Because of attachments.
True.
These attachments never go away. Simply because the body has grown old doesn't mean that one's mind has also become old.
Seems like
So one has
practical.
to,
Sorry, go ahead.
yes. So one has to cut this tie oneself, and it is still painful. Even if one is a very religious person, it is still very difficult to cut these ties. What to speak of those who are not even interested in cutting these ties? For one who wants to cut these ties, one who's desiring so hard to cut these ties, one who's practicing all the austerities so that he can cut these ties, for him it is difficult.
Mm.
And then what to speak of people like us who are actually going on increasing these ties?
Yes.
So it's a very difficult process. This world is a very dangerous place.
Mm.
So we need to be very, very cautious.
It makes me wonder sometimes when we listen. I was listening to a podcast where Keshavan Prabhuji was talking about his life. He said he just left home. It takes a lot of courage. Like, I just wonder, like, practically, what did he thought when he was what was he thinking when he left home? Like, where did he got all this courage from? Like, kaun si realizations thi aisi that made you think this way, that I'm gonna leave and go?
He took association of Madhva Sampradaya, some brahmacharis. He was in Madhva devotees.
Mm-hmm.
Manipal is very close to Udupi. So he was there with Madhva Sampradaya devotees. Then he met Bhakti Vikas Swami. Bhakti Vikas Swami is not like a wishy-washy Swami. He doesn't talk any chocolate philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
He's hard. He speaks completely. Like, I remember reading his book when I was maybe 20 years old or something. Brahmacharya and Krishna Consciousness. In fact, I still have that book. That was the editor's copy. Like very crudely typed out. Pages are all flying here and there. I have that copy, which was given to ashrams only. I still remember I got that book for some 10 rupees or something. So, yeah, so he met some very strong sadhus.
Association matters.
Yeah, sadhu cannot say, oh, this is okay, that is okay. No,
Hmm.
sadhu may not tell you to just leave everything and run, but a sadhu will engage you in such service that eventually you become purified of these bonds.
Yes.
A sadhu is not interested in collecting donations or collecting followers.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't care. Hearing him, you may even start cursing him over what nonsense he speaks. He's okay. Sadhu is okay with that. Whatever. I told you what was necessary for you. It's up to you to decide what you want. That's the attitude of a sadhu. Sadhu is honest. Sadhu is compassionate. Sadhu is straightforward. Actually, anyone who speaks very soft philosophy, oh, they will get offended. Such a person has ulterior motive. And such a person is actually a violent person.
Truly compassionate nahi hai na, because he's not giving back
Compassion नहीं है ना.
truth.
हाँ, कैंसर पेशेंट को आप पैरासिटामोल खिला दे रहे हो यार, इंजेक्शन देंगे, दर्द करेगा, जाने दो, ऐसी दे दो, मर जाएगा पेशेंट. डॉक्टर को तो जेल में डाल देंगे ना कि क्या कर रहा है. तो we should hold sadhus to also the same standard. Now, like, even sadhus are taking selfies with Bollywood heroines. So what kind of sadhus are these? What was that name? Some very famous Bollywood heroine that they were taking selfies with her. All sadhus are rushing. Just nonsense. So if you associate with such a sadhu, you will also go to Bollywood only.
True.
So avoid such things. 99% are not sadhus. Manusyanam sahasreshu kaschid yatati siddhaye yatatam api siddhanam kaschin mam veti tattvata. So one who knows Krishna, in fact, he is a sadhu. He is the one who can deliver others. Srila Prabhupada says, devotee means pure devotee. And then he also says, spiritual master means he should have seen Krishna. So, you see, that's the standard Prabhupada sets. So, if you are interested in taking Diksha from someone, you ask, have you seen Krishna? You can ask this question.
Okay. Also, a
Okay.
last question. Text 1 mein, why Sukadev Goswami is called Shri Badrayanir?
Badarayanir. Because Badarayan is Vyasadev.
Oh, acha ji.
Son of Vyasadev. Vyasadev is Badarayan. So he's Badarayani.
ठीक है जी. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay, so I think we are out of time.
Hare
We
Krishna,
stop here
Prabhuji.
today.
Probably
Huh.
one small thing. In the introduction, there is this, the second paragraph, which is, if one atones according to the directions of the Shastras, one does not actually become free from sinful reactions. But if one chants the holy name of the Lord, even a glimpse of such. So, I mean, but we know that, I don't understand this. We do become free from sinful reactions. Now, if we atone according to Shastra, the sinful tendencies that we don't become free of.
See, someone has suffered because of your action. So there will be some reaction.
Hmm.
In the sense, one does not become free from their reactions. They will still come in the form of impressions. They will stay there. Reactions themselves will. If one is sinful, one performs all prayaschitta, that desire still remains and he will take a lower birth.
Yeah, that means
So,
the tendency remains. See, the very fact that he's undergone atonement means he's taken voluntary suffering upon himself
hmm,
during the atonement, and that is why he's
hmm.
free from the sinful reaction. But yes, the sinful tendency remains. But then this
See, after performing
sentence is.
prayaschitta, after the performance of prayaschitta, one still cannot change his next birth. One will still have to take a lower birth only. So
Hmm.
that is also a reaction. If a Brahmana is addicted to sinful activities and then he atones everything, he will still have to take a lower birth because that
But then
it's a reaction.
why are these atonement mentioned in the Shastras if they are not freeing the person even from the reactions?
This is dharma projito. This is cheating religion. That's what Bhagavatam is talking about. In the first canto, second verse, you will find this in the purport. Because these religions are actually, this is cheating religion. This is meant for lusty people. Okay, you do something sinful, you atone for it. No, in reality, there is no such freedom actually. One should not be sinful at all. One should be transcendental. Being in material nature itself will subject one to so many miseries.
Hmm. But suppose somebody has done a sin, means unknowingly or whatever, and is now repenting for it and atoning for it, then,
Hmm.
I mean, with a pure heart and with a pure intention, then,
Hmm.
and if he's atoning according to Shastras, actually he should become
Hmm.
free from the reaction.
Well, you can ask Yamraj why he doesn't free anyone like that. Because the desire is still there. See, try to understand. Without Krishna, there will be no atonement. Without the understanding of Supreme Lord, there will be no atonement. Because the desire will never go away. Let me give you one simple example. Today's society, what is the biggest problem? Illicit sex is the biggest problem. If you eat chicken by mistake, that impression will not remain in your mind. You will not feel like, you may feel like eating, it's not so strong, but illicit sex never goes away. Big, big devotees have fallen down. Sannyasis have left their position. So this impression is so strong. In fact, because this whole story of Ajamil is based on that only, this impression becomes so strong. What atonement will purify that? Association of opposite sex is the very foundation of material world. And if one becomes addicted to that, what atonement can purify one from that? So, in fact, so there is really speaking no freedom from that reaction. The only real freedom from that reaction would be to take shelter of the Supreme Lord, because then one will become free from materialistic mindset itself. So that is real atonement. For
Okay.
gambling, how does one become free from gambling? That mind will become like that speculative mind. He may become a sannyasi and speculate on the scriptures.
Hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
So we stop here today. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Yeah.
Thank you, Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Dandavat
Thank
pranam.
you.
Thank you.
Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Dandavat.